Hello, I'm Andy Ferris. I'm a guitar player, but I am a frustrated bassist. This is the new Space 4.
Correct.
From Cort. They are beautiful, Tom.
Thank you.
They are absolutely stunning. They're kind of lightweight. I know they are, if you're looking at it thinking, that is ugly, what are you talking about? They are polarizing. I think you're either going to love it or not. They have no headstock.
Yeah.
Tiggybass is in this video as well. She's playing the bass for us because she's done a much better job than I ever could. But first, Tom, tell me about some specs of these bass guitars.
Of course. We probably should start at the bit that's missing,
Yes.
which is the traditional headstock. So it's funny. Cort started making there's Cort, which is the big manufacturing, huge OEM manufacturer. But Cort was making the headless basses. Do you remember the 𝗬𝗛𝗪𝗏𝗪 licensed stuff? So Cort were making headless basses in the 80s.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Not that far.
Yeah. So
I know there are many brands, which some of them might be on screen if Victor adds that. We're not going to talk about them, but I can in post-production. Yeah. So they've been doing it that long.
So there was the kind of the 80s headless thing, if you remember, and it was the 𝗬𝗛𝗪𝗏𝗪 licensed stuff, but it was and those basses and those guitars, and it disappeared, fashion as these things do, and it's come back. But there's technical reasons, there's technical benefits for having it. Having the headless bass. Well, it's things like. So if you want to experiment with lots of different tuning, especially going down and putting very thick strings on, a traditional bass, you'll just have a nut, and the strings would sit in the nut, and then it would go onto the headstock. And the nut would have to be cut for those gauge of strings, right? Because that's what's holding the strings in the right place. So on the headless, you probably won't be able to see it, but you have a 0 fret there, which is your nut. Effectively, your de facto nut, and then they come down, and then you've got these 4 channels, but they're really wide. So if you wanted to put super thick strings on, so you could get like a 5-string set, take them off the small string and put really thick strings on, and they would be easy to fit. And then let's spin it round because it's quite interesting. So you have a 7-piece neck, and you have roasted maple. You then have walnut, then you have purple heart, then you have some maple, walnut, and the roasted maple. So there's tonal variances, as you know, in the woods.
Apparently.
So
let's not go there.
Yeah, no, that's another chat for another video, isn't it? Let's not go there. But
let's say there are.
There is, yes, but there's also in the lamination process, you have 7 bits of wood that are glued together, and this is rock solid. This will not twist, this will not torque, this will not. So again, if you're putting...
Are you changing the grain angle as well, or is it...
No, it's all
just
one
piece,
but it's a lamination. So 7 bits of laminated wood glued.
Because there's a nasty rumour going around that when you have multiple pieces of wood, it means it's done for budgetary reasons.
No,
and it's not, is it? It's because exactly what you said. It's if you have one piece of wood. If this was one piece, it could shift and move because that's nature.
Yes.
But by doing what you've said and having these like this, you are strengthening said neck.
Yeah, and again it's relevant if you are putting thick strings on. You're putting a lot more tension because you don't have that extra string length.
Right.
So you're locking straight into the top of the nut. So essentially, there's more string tension.
Right.
In a smaller piece of wood.
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah. So there's more pound per inch.
Yeah.
Like
exactly. There's more going on. So
also, Tom, it allows for my favourite thing on guitars, basses, or any stringed instrument with a truss rod, and that's to have the truss rod adjuster in the correct place.
Yeah. The spoke adjuster.
I don't care what instrument, if it's vintage or anything like that. That is the best thing to happen to truss rods ever.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Well, it's bonkers that that on an old P bass or something, you have to take the neck off to set the correct relief. It's a bit of a design. I'm not going to say Leo.
You can't, but I can. We've come a long way. I have a lot of time for vintage instruments, and I love them. And I have a couple and some reissues, and I love them. However, they are frustrating. And we've come.
Yeah.
I get the point of having it on stage and getting tone, but if you are tracking or something like that, you want something reliable. You want an instrument that is actually going to be as you left it last week.
Yeah.
And things like that will help.
Yeah.
Bartolini pickups.
Yep. Bartolini pickups, which then go to so they're active, of course. Active there.
I've just noticed that the back of this is the same colour as my trousers.
Oh God, it matches perfectly, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Right, so it's made for me.
Yeah,
so we've got a 9-volt battery in the back.
9-volt battery in there, standard stuff, and then you have volume. You then have a pickup blend, so that's center dented there. So you have a blend between the two pickups, and then you have 3-band EQ.
Well, when Tiggy played for us, she was messing around with the settings, and you explained them to her. So let's have a little bit of what it sounds like.
Cool.
And she will demonstrate what happens when you mess around with this active electronic system. Bodywoods, Tom.
So we've got maple,
Right.
and then we have a 6mm. So this is burled poplar. So you can see how much, just in these two identical models, how different the grain pattern is. So everyone is unique, really. And then there's 2 color options. You have the green and the black.
I can't decide which one I prefer. Like, I instantly gelled with this one. And then I felt like, oh, let's have a look at this. Then when Tiggy started playing it, I was like, that actually looks amazing.
Yeah.
And then I saw the back. I was like,
yeah,
I'm torn.
Yeah.
So I think it's a beautiful instrument. However, it's more than just beauty. There's function. There's a lot of. I don't know about the tone. I haven't heard it. I haven't heard what you've heard. So of course, leave me comments down below and tell me what you think. But what I do want to talk about is why someone would buy a Cort bass. They're walking into a shop or they're looking online, and there's all these different brands available. What can you say that makes them want to buy a Cort?
Cort is pretty well. It is unique in the guitar world because Cort is the house brand of Cor-Tech. Cor-Tech they've been around for 50 years. It's their 50th anniversary last year, and Cor-Tech grew out of originally from Cort, but became the world's biggest OEM manufacturer. So now, they make well in excess of 1 million guitars a year. They are colossal, and they also make for a lot of brands as well. So
sure, they make some pretty standard instruments for
I see what you've done
for
there.
big American companies, for example.
Yes, that was good. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So they're very collaborative with those brands. So it's not just here's a note, make some guitars for us, please. They work together a lot, and
brands are actually proud that they're made by Cor-Tech.
Yeah. I think that's because of as the quality is just so good, and it's so consistent. They're actually using it as a selling point,
right,
as opposed to let's not just talk. Let's just talk about the name of the headstock. Don't worry about who's making it. So it's a funny one where because the guitar world is very brand. There's
a lot of focus on what brand do you play? Are you this brand or that brand?
Yeah.
Oh, that player is playing a.
Yeah. So there'll be people who don't play a brand, but they'll be actually playing guitars that both come from Cor-Tech.
Yes.
So that'll be the thing. So so because they make for all the brands, they have this huge economy of scale that no one else. They're not the only OEM manufacturer on it, but they're certainly by far the biggest. So they have this huge economy of scale. They have all the machines, the technical know-how. So as a brand would develop, something like this. This is like a niche kind of instrument. It's not a traditional bass. They can do it, they have the skills and the know-how, so they don't have to go through that learning process every time. So So in answer to your question, it's once you realise that they're the guys that make most of the stuff for most of the people, there's a huge value for money payoff there, because it's, I don't want to say the word factory direct, but it's just you're plugged straight into this.
Yeah, you're skipping a few steps, right?
Yeah, machine, you know. And I've been involved with Cort for 5 years, and they're just the changes that we're seeing just in that period, just in terms of the aesthetic and their models, and they're really coming strong. And they'll continue to do so, because they just have this manufacturing muscle, really.
It's great. I mean, you're obviously from the brand, and there are certain things that you want to get this message across. As the independent person here, I can only echo what you've said. And in terms of quality of this instrument, everything looks outstanding. So tracking in a studio, you shouldn't really care about what's on the headstock. Maybe on stage you might care, or you might care about brand deals or something. If you're looking for a bass that is compact and small and reliable, every bit of hardware on this is fantastic. You should really take a look at these, because they're also priced well under £700 or whatever that is in your region, and I think you're getting a lot for your money. And make sure they do one that matches the colour of your trousers as well, like I specifically requested for this video.
Sales of purple trousers are going to skyrocket now, because of this.
Thank you, Tom.
My pleasure, Andy.
I don't often feature basses on this channel, but as I said, I love playing bass.
Wicked.
And it's something that I want to do more, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to feature bass here so that you can watch it. So if you don't own a bass and you've got not so much money to spend, take a look at these, and maybe some flat colours though.
Yeah, well, this
you could even save a bit more money by not doing the furl, you know. And then if you imagine what you could do with a flat colour.
Yeah, well, we started with a 5-string bass last year, which was a massive success for us. Now we're doing this 4-string bass, and this range is the Space 5 was really good for us. So there's going to be more and more of these coming through, as you know, next year and the year after. So there's going to be lots of interesting things coming through. Yeah.